Good evening, folks. This is a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast, Comic Stripped. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And joining me tonight, as we endeavor to look at a direct adaptation from comic book to movie and or series, and tonight it's comic book to direct-to-video movie, from Honeysuckle Rose Creations, Alexis Hejna. How do you do, madam?
I am doing good. I have a corgi on my lap who's trying to lap up the soda I spilled. Thanks, Eddie.
That's what pets are good for.
Naturally.
Tonight, we are going to be... Now, what is Comic Stripped? I should explain that for the people. If you heard our Red Sun review, you kind of got an inkling of what the show is going to be. There are, in many cases... we've done in the past, Gotham by Gaslight being a really good example of this, direct adaptations, not inspired by, not taken liberally from, but a direct adaptation from a comic book or a novel or whatever to another medium. And there's, especially in the animated department, there's been a lot of comic books that were developed into direct-to-video movies. And myself and Alexis Hejna wanted to talk about a great many of them, though I've also got on the docket a Netflix series and a movie and all kinds of stuff in the near future. So we needed another kind of venue to discuss these things. And thus Comic Stripped was born. And so this is one that we wanted to do last year, but we never found time on the schedule. And currently with the way things are... there's plenty of time to discuss things we hadn't gotten an opportunity to. So tonight we're going to look at, the book is called Batman / Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but the direct-to-video movie is known as Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, how did you hear about... Let's talk about the book real quick. How did you hear about the book?
Oh, easy. It was in the comic shop that I frequent, Bebop Comics here in Kansas City, has a rotating display in the front where they put up what are genuinely comics aimed at younger groups. That's where I saw the new adaptations of the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, the My Little Pony Omnibus. You know, not crazy serious comics, but still it's a lot of fun to peruse the title, see if something jumps out. You know me, I am a sucker for anything animated, so I love seeing some of these classic cartoons that I grew up with turned into comics and what they do with them. And, yep, first volume of Batman versus Ninja Turtles was on there, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my god, I have to see what happens in this book. Also, I'm an avid video game player. For those who play the Injustice video games, Ninja Turtles were added in Injustice 2. I can't remember if they were DLCs or just for the Ultimate Edition, because we went ahead and put out money for the Ultimate Edition when it came out, and it came with the Ninja Turtles. Love fighting as them because you can actually switch back and forth between which turtle you play as. Gives you a little bit of a leg up on your competition.
They added everybody into Injustice 2. I'm pretty sure I'm in there as a downloadable character.
I don't know. Maybe if you punch in the Contra code.
Nice save. All right. This was published between December 2015 and May of 2016. It was a 6-issue limited series, and then there were a series of sequels to the book. The movie came out March 31st, 2019, and it was a collaboration between Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon.
Hard to believe that Nickelodeon owns the rights to the Ninja Turtles right now.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I guess it's just because growing up as a child of the 80s and 90s, I grew up watching the animated Ninja Turtles series. You know, I was an avid fan of it, and I don't know. It's just kind of weird to think about how it's now linked to Nickelodeon, which, frankly, I think has gone downhill a little bit.
Well, considering that Nickelodeon is a CBS Viacom company, it's just hard to imagine like any any studio collaborating with another studio to produce anything. But I guess they figured, there's money in them there hills, so let's go for it. And
it was also nice seeing a new animation style with this. We have some brighter colors and everything. It kind of actually calls back a little bit more to, I want to say, like a 1960s Batman style. The most recent adaptations we've been reviewing all have the Timiverse style, and I love finally, nothing against Bruce Timm and his crew. I adore them. I adored all the work they do, but I am kind of glad to finally see some more DC animated specials that aren't in that style. It gets a little repetitive.
So, the book, we'll start there. The book, the Turtles and their archenemy Shredder were transported to an alternate universe, the DC universe, by Krang. While in Gotham City, they meet Batman and clash with a series of his famous rogues gallery while attempting to find their way home. So, basically, the crux of the 6-issue limited series was that Krang, in an effort to take over the world, said yoinks and sent Shredder and the Turtles to a parallel universe.
Now, did I miss something? Because they mentioned in the book that Krang is the villain to them and to Shredder. Yes, and to you too, Eddie. Krang hates corgis. But I don't remember that in the series. I always thought that Shredder and Krang were allies.
I mean, they work together. They work towards, I think, simultaneous goals. I'm not actually the world's biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. They were a thing of the 90s. Excuse me. They were a thing of the 90s for a crew that was slightly younger than me, and then as they became more of a juvenile product and started going after a more younger audience, at the same time that I was getting older.
Let's be grateful that they didn't go with the style from the Rise of the Ninja Turtle series currently airing.
As near as I understand it, Krang and Shredder were working towards the same goal. So I think Shredder and the Foot Clan were kind of their own thing, and then Krang was his own thing, and then they had a mutual issue with the Turtles, and so they ended up working in conjunction with one another. That was how I always understood it. I'm sure somewhere out there is a Ninja Turtle nerd who would be like, well, technically, and will explain it all to me, but either way.
Oh, I'm sure that we're going to get a notice on our network chat window from one of our other co-hosts who's going to come in saying, oh my god, I can't believe you guys didn't research this.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. It's a minor point. It's an explanation as to why they're in this universe. So Krang sent everybody away because it was easier to just wipe out everyone than it was to just try to selectively aim it at the Turtles. So now Shredder and the Turtles are gone. And what I liked about the series is they kind of have the same issue here that like the Flash brings up whenever they deal in parallel universes, which is like vibration. In Flash, that's how it is. It's like you vibrate at different frequencies depending on what universe you're in. And if you stay too long... you'll end up dying. You'll end up just kind of coming apart at the seams. Similar issue here, where the chemical compound that mutated them into humanoid turtles is now reversing, because in this universe it couldn't sustain its chemical composition. So now they're starting to revert.
It kind of reminds me of the theories with the Infinity Stones in the Marvel Universe, that every parallel universe has its own Infinity Stones, and they only work in that universe.
Right.
So. Ooh, we got music in the background.
So there's a clock that's ticking in this book that if they don't get back to this their own universe, they're going to turn back into regular turtles. By the same token, that's what's driving Shredder, is that he's trying to create a portal to go back as well. But I think in his mind, he's like, well, what's better than taking over one universe? 2 universes. So that's a big part of what's driving this story. And so you have the typical the Turtles don't know what side Batman's on. Batman doesn't know what side the Turtles are on. You have Shredder, who's got a mysterious purpose, which we won't learn about till later. And then he ends up working with Ra's al Ghul, and they turn Arkham Asylum into, essentially, they use the mutagen to mutate the Arkham inmates, so everyone ends up becoming like a Rocksteady and Bebop, an animal version of themselves, which is made a much bigger deal in the movie than it is in the book.
Yeah, we'll talk about the animal mutations when we start comparing the book to the movie a little later in the show, because there is some serious discussion to have there.
So ultimately, how does this end, the book? I think I read it on Friday, so I've already lost some of the details.
Well, we do get the scene where they think they've got the portal going, but it turns out that Shredder has sabotaged it, and also sabotaged the lead scientist who was working on it. So when the portal is destroyed, the poor scientist's heads go kaplooey, because Shredder is just that ruthless. He's a villain who says, essentially, you're not only going to lose, you are going to lose in every way possible, because I am just that big of a jackass.
So that's basically the book, which I really enjoyed, by the way. The movie, it's the same. In this premise, Gotham and New York City are both in the same world, and the Turtles are on a road trip because they've tracked Shredder to Gotham City, so they're hot on the case. Somehow or other, despite being in the same world, they have no idea who the Justice League is or Batman.
Yeah, we get the same explanation that Donatello finds a computer and talks about how there's urban legends of a bat creature living in Gotham.
Right, which makes zero to no sense, but it's one of those funny adaptation things where they're trying to keep true to the book, but for some odd reason, some of the details of the book are not going to work for the purposes of a movie, or it would take too much to make it work, so they just leave it out. So instead of them coming from a parallel dimension and needing to get back, the premise of this one is they all live on the same Earth. They are in town just to deal with Shredder. Shredder is working with Ra's al Ghul in the League of Assassins, and they turn all the Arkham inmates into animals. There is a long fight scene where they deal with that. That takes up a good chunk of the movie.
Yeah, but admit it, that's the kind of... Okay, tell me I am not the only one that when they split up to go into different parts of Arkham, all I could think is, wow, dropping exposition for the video game? They talk about it's like they're going to be hostage to rescue. And remember, even before they were mutated, these were some of the vilest, most dangerous criminals in Gotham. And I'm like, okay, what button do I press to skip the cutscene?
So in this one, this is yet another Cloud Seeder deal, which I feel like this comes up in like every third story now, where basically they're going to make it rain a toxin, and so they're going to turn everybody into animals or some crazy thing. So the whole third act of the movie takes place at Ace Chemicals. The Turtles and Batman and Shredder have a big fight. They run Ra's al Ghul off, and they knock Shredder into a vat of toxins, who in a after-credit scene is revealed to have survived the explosion of Ace Chemicals, which is forever blowing up, and was transformed into a monstrous Joker look-alike by the Joker Venom, like you do. So let's get into this. The book versus the movie. First of all, what did you think of the book?
I did greatly enjoy the book. It does a good job of balancing the seriousness of Batman and the half-seriousness, half-jokiness of the Turtles. I mean, you have this scene where they break into the Batcave, And Michelangelo sees that giant T-Rex that Batman's... I don't even remember how the giant T-Rex got in the Batcave or what it's from, but there is a giant T-Rex. And Michelangelo jumps on top of it, and he's just like, this is the greatest thing ever! And oh my god, I'm dying watching that because admit it, you'd want to do it too. And
that giant T-Rex has been in the Batcave for decades.
Yeah, I just have absolutely no... Okay, I know where the giant penny came from, but I have no idea where the T-Rex came from.
Yeah, who knows?
But no, this does strike a really good balance. The book obviously is made a lot more dramatic. We have more time spent on the Turtles trying to figure out if they want to go back right away, and save themselves, or stay longer to help Batman, even though they are risking their lives. Or, well, maybe not their lives, but, like, their intelligence.
One of the things the book, I think, does a good job of dealing with is Raphael not being convinced of Batman's worth or that he's a good guy. And so, I would say a fair amount of the book deals with Raphael just being fed up with the other Turtles kind of being in awe of Batman and realizing, no, this is some thrill-seeking nutcase. And I want to say, I can't remember if it was the movie or the book, but at one point, Batman brings Raphael to Crime Alley.
It's the book.
Okay, it's the book. Where he shows him where his parents were killed. And he was like, I dedicate myself to making sure this doesn't happen to other families. And that resonates with Raphael, which, as it should.
Yeah, you expect Raphael to be the one who essentially looks at someone like Batman and is like, screw this. Because, he's cool but crude. He's got the attitude problem. And, yeah, the idea of Batman just sort of, cutting through the crap and saying, okay, this is what I'm doing. You need to realize this.
Well, I thought it was...
their senses. It's really well done.
I thought it was very true to Raphael's character because what little I have seen of the Turtles movies, Raphael was forever losing his patience with the rest of his brothers and trying to go off on his own. That seems to be an ongoing thing.
That is. Like I said, he's got a serious attitude problem. He is the hot-headed one.
The idea that, I like the premise of the book a little bit better than the movie. The premise of the book is they're robbing Wayne Tech facilities to get parts for this interdimensional portal. And it's a mystery as to who he's working with that you find out along the way. So there's a lot in the book that keeps you guessing. And it isn't as straightforward as the movie is.
Not to mention, Ra's al Ghul actually doesn't show up until halfway through. Shredder's original partner is the Penguin. Makes a lot of sense. The Penguin has kind of taken on the role of the fence in Gotham. He's the one who essentially says, okay, what do you need? I'll get it for you. You pay me. That allows him to operate the Iceberg Lounge and essentially stay off the cop's radar.
Now, you're an artist, and I always like to, you're the person I talk to about animation, and you have a bit of an art background. What did you think of the splash page where all the Arkham inmates had turned into animals?
That's actually not a splash page, believe it or not. That's 2 separate pages. You have to look closely because there's 2 Banes.
Okay.
But it's still really cool. I mean, you just want to stop and look through this and check out what every single inmate has turned into, and I love it.
What's funny about that is it's a distraction set up to keep them occupied while Ra's al Ghul and Shredder go about the business of getting the rest of the portal created, and they deal with it a little bit, but it doesn't take up that much time in the book. And the Joker is one little scribble in the corner somewhere, whereas in the movie that is he does everything but sing the song from The Killing Joke in his sequence. That goes on. Him as a snake, which looks fucking creepy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Goes on forever.
Yeah, it's clear that they really wanted to spend more time with the Gotham inmates as the animals. They all get more scenes, they get more lines, each one gets a fight. We get a couple of variations on the different creatures they're turned into. And there's some to take away that I think honestly, I do think that works better in the animated version. I think if we had had that many fight scenes in the book in succession of one another, it would have gotten really old really fast. We've talked before about different comics where it's like, oh my God, we get it. It's action, it's action, it's action. You need to take a break. All the fight scenes are blending together.
So I just want to read this real quick because there is an element of this that the movie kind of capitalizes on, and I had actually forgotten about it. During the resulting fight, Batman is trapped by the mutated Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. Confronted by Al Ghul and the Shredder, he learns that the two arch-villains intend to use the mutagen in every major city of the world, throwing human civilization into chaos and thus paving their ascent to total world domination. So while that's an element of their plan, it is the whole plan in the movie.
Yeah, again, there's no portals, so we kind of cut that whole part out. Mm-hmm. We also get Baxter Stockman brought in. That's always kind of bizarre to see. I never get used to seeing him in a fly and talking normally because, again, grew up with the 80s and 90s version where Baxter Stockman, his voice was kind of like this, very whiny. So hearing a much more mature voice coming out of a giant fly's mouth is so weird.
You get a couple of bits with Casey Jones, who shows up to give them more mutagen. He actually shows up to try to bring them back, but they're like, but the job's not done. So he gives them a little bit more mutagen to kind of hang on to themselves.
Actually, no, he doesn't. He comes with the mutagen, but he gets ambushed by Shredder first. Mm-hmm. The mutagen was not the original plan, but when Casey comes through, Shredder and Roz all basically look at it and they go, well, no point in looking a gift horse in the mouth. Beat up Casey, take the mutagen, and then they go. Casey does not have any mutagen left to give to the Turtles.
Okay. I'm thinking of the movie then. Or I don't remember what I'm thinking of.
Well, unfortunately, because not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping that Casey would show up. Again, there is no portal or anything to another dimension. The Turtles drove in the turtle van. Each sold separately. Sorry, when that thing started launching the sewer lids painted like pizzas, exactly like the toy did from my youth. Just going, oh my God, there's Toyetic, and then there's this. But I was so expecting for Casey to show up at the last minute saying, yeah, I followed you guys, duh, or something like that. Because that's the kind of thing that character would do.
Anything else about the book for right now?
Well, we also get an introduction with, what's it called, like the Intimidation suit?
The Intimidator combat armor.
Yeah, which clearly the Turtles had some fun with spray paint because there's some color added to it that I'm like 90% certain Batman actually wouldn't put on that thing. I mean, it's got like orange and red and blue and purple and green bats on it. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, who brought the paint with them? The ending for the book is really great. I mean, we get a little bit of a Deus Ex Machina with how the Turtles are able to get back, with April and Casey coming in saying that their inventor friend, who probably has been mentioned in one of the other series or another comic that I am not familiar with, they say, they're here, we're going to take you home, battle's over, and you get this great scene where Raph takes off his mask and gives it to Batman and says, this is for you. This is a symbol that, you can think of us as a family. We will always be there for you. And it's really sweet. Very bizarre, though, that the Turtles don't have pupils or anything when they have the masks on, but when Raph takes it off, all of a sudden he's got pupils.
One of the also changes from the book is Splinter is in the book, not in the movie.
Well, makes sense. Splinter wouldn't come along on the road trip.
So the other difference, that we lose a Splinter, but we gain a Batgirl. Because we can't have a Batman movie anymore without a Batgirl.
Now, we do have Damian Wayne as Robin in both versions. Fun little fact here, since I know that you're going to see that new Trolls movie when it is released on streaming, because, you have children. The voice of Batgirl is also doing the voice of the lead rock troll. That's Rachel Bloom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Rachel Bloom is Barbara Gordon / Batgirl.
Yeah.
Did you
You
think
know me, I love learning about voice actors.
Did you think Batgirl really added anything to it? I mean, the one thing I will say before I give it to you, the one time I think she adds something I think to the movie that wasn't in the book is her addition allows there to be another character for Donatello to play off of and react to, and so like everybody kind of gets a buddy in the movie, and I feel like that's why she's there. You know, is to be the Batman tech person to speak, you know, tech geek to Donatello.
A little bit. I do keep forgetting what the situation is with Batgirl in the Rebirth comics, because she says that she's getting. Look, we find at the beginning she's at the tech lab and she says she's trying to get an A on her paper. The new design of Batgirl, I don't know if she's supposed to still be in high school or college.
Yeah, isn't she like steampunk Batgirl now?
Say what?
Isn't she like steampunk Batgirl now?
I honestly don't know. I have not been keeping up with a lot of the Rebirth comics. I don't know what the storyline is with Batgirl and how they, you know, rebranded her essentially, that she is no longer the paraplegic Oracle.
Right.
I feel like we need Jesse or Alan here to clear this up.
They retconned the Killing Joke, right? That no longer, that when Flashpoint happened, so did that. It went away.
I think so. Not gonna lie, I had a hard enough time following the New 52 storylines. When you throw in the Rebirth, I just kind of threw my hands up in the air and said, screw it, I'm done.
Yeah. It is my understanding that the Killing Joke never happened, which is why she can walk again. But I don't know. We can go down. If we went down this rabbit hole, we'll be here for another hour, and I can't. So
yeah, podcast dad says no. We're staying focused.
So essentially, you know, we talked about. Let's just get to it. We've been building this up the whole show. So very shortly into the movie, we meet the mutated Arkham inmates. And the whole thing is like led by the Joker, who's a giant snake. And then Harley's a jackal.
I'm glad you figured that out, because I could not tell for the life of me what the heck she was supposed to. I mean, she's obviously supposed to be a hyena in the animated film, but I could not tell what she was in the book. She's just too heavily made up. I thought she was like a monkey or something.
Yeah, she's a hyena in the movie. So yeah, he's a cobra. Mr. Freeze is a polar bear, which is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Scarecrow's a raven. Duh. Two-Face is a two-faced cat. Poison Ivy is a Venus flytrap, which has the best gag of this entire movie.
Oh my god, I could not stop laughing. It's like, so just walk around her? Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, essentially, she turned into a Venus flytrap that has no feet. So she can't move.
She's literally rooted to the ground.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Bane is a jaguar, he was an elephant in the book. I thought he looked cooler as an elephant, by the way, but...
elephant, mammoth, either way, I was kind of hoping they would keep that. Jaguar, I think they were calling a little bit more back to his character roots and where he came from. We also had a few more characters in the book. We had Riddler, who I think was a raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
We had Mad Hatter, who turned into a hare, so you have this cool Mad Hatter March Hare combo that, sweet Jesus, why has this never been made as a cosplay?
There you go. There's no reason why you can't do it.
I'm too busy making jewelry. You think I got time to make cosplays? I do not have time to make cosplays.
You might sell more jewelry if you went in cosplay.
Maybe. We got the ventriloquist, who's a parrot, of course. Two-Face is, I guess it looks like he's two different kinds of monkeys, sort of seamed up together. And Poison Ivy is a praying mantis, which I think was maybe a little lazy based on just trying to get a green character that fit her. But
right. Maybe
it's also the whole praying mantis women eat males' heads, and that seems like something Poison Ivy would do. So
sure. So in the movie,
and we got Penguin as a rock hopper.
So something they do in the movie that they don't do in the book is the Joker is able to subdue Batman, and he injects him with the mutagen venom combination. And so, of course, Batman turns into Man-Bat, essentially. A giant... a giant vampire bat. There's a bunch of crap happens. They end up beating up the Joker, and they use the retro mutagen to cure Batman and then the other inmates. So basically, like I said, it's an 84-minute movie, and they spent a good half an hour on this.
Again, I think it does work better in the animated version. Not to mention it. Come on, they're making. They probably made I know they made a toy version of the Mr. Freeze polar bear at least. Pretty sure that they were working on other toys of the other ones.
Sure. And look, I watched this with my son, and this was his favorite part of the movie.
Oh yeah.
And so I get that. If you're doing even if the book itself was more geared towards a elder teen adult audience, once you decided you were going to adapt it with the help of Nickelodeon Studios, you're done. You're making a kids movie. And while some of the imagery might be a little tough for some kids, overall, like I said, my son enjoyed it when there was fighting. And there's a lot of fighting in this movie. There's a lot of action in this. There's more action in this, I think, than in the book, which stands to reason.
Yeah, those who are thinking about showing this to your kids, your only warning, they're not doing the Foot Clan are actually robots so we can get away with a PG warning on our TV show. No, these are human being foot soldiers, and they bleed red gelatin.
Yeah, I was going to say, early on in the movie, I want to say one of the Foot Clan gets a shuriken to the head.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's some pretty violent imagery to start with, but I would say that's kind of the worst of it. A couple of foot soldiers, you see them impaled and bleed, and then they're off camera. Batman turns into a bat, and that might be scary for some kids. But after that, didn't bother me. Didn't seem to bother my son. So,
you're right. The Joker Cobra was pretty terrifying, but I'm not going to lie. I love what they did with the kind of the image on the back of the Cobra hood for him. That it looks like a very warped, very abstract Joker smile. That was so neat.
So we move into the third act. Like I said, they are launching their machine at Ace Chemicals, and so that's where the final thing happens, and then we get what everyone came to this movie for: Shredder versus Batman, and they have a rather extended fight sequence which ends with Shredder falling into the vat of chemicals, like everybody who Batman fights does.
Yeah, pretty much. Not to mention, we actually get a scene of Batman saying, "Cowabunga."
Yes, and Batman eats pizza. He wouldn't eat the pizza originally, but then at the end, because they've learned to work together, and now they understand the power of family, he eats the pizza.
And he gives a slice to his son, Damien, and Damien's like, "Thanks, Daddy, I get pizza!" Not going to lie, Damian Wayne's one of my least favorite Robins. He's just kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh, come on. The last couple of things we've seen with Damian Wayne have been hysterical. What was it this, or was it something else where Damian Wayne was... It might have been Hush, now that I think about it, which we haven't had a chance to talk about Hush yet. We'll have to throw it on the list to do here, because Jesse, a ways back, already did the book, so you and I can just talk about it. But
totally.
The animated Hush, there's a bit where Damian Wayne starts lecturing his father about the virtues of not having sex on the first date, and he just hangs up on him. It's so good.
Yeah. No. Well, okay, fine. I just prefer Dick Grayson and Tim Drake. Okay, those are my Robins of choice.
No, I'm a Damian Wayne stan.
All right, fair enough. As long as you don't like Guy Gardner as a Green Lantern, I think we're fine.
I like his jacket.
Yeah, I should have brought that up with Red Sun. And Guy Gardner is the first one to check it out, and nothing of value was lost.
So Anything else about the movie that you feel warrants discussion? If not, I think we've, neither one of these are particularly deep, but I thought, I'll say this, and then I'll kick it over to you for the last words. I think they did a fairly decent job of taking the stuff with Alfred tracks from the book to the movie, and it's all funny. Like his bits with Michelangelo are, where he takes the skateboard away. I laughed in the book. I laughed in the movie.
Oh my god, I love it. It's like, I offered to make them a gourmet feast, and they want pizza. Teenagers. Oh my god. And that's exactly the way you would expect Alfred to act. It's like, because he is an amazing cook. He's like, I can do anything, and you want me to order pizza. And yes, him taking away the skateboard and lecturing him. It's like, oh, come on, old Master Alfred. Yeah, that's not the way this works. It was great. Actually, that does bring up a good point. The adaptation does a really good job of bringing a lot of the original dialogue. Again, there are points that have to be changed since we added a ton more fight scenes and we cut a lot of the drama, but there is a lot of direct line adaptations. You get the scene where Roz faces off with Leonardo, and he says, Batman sends children to fight his battles. Guess it's time for another guide to show him his folly. This is, of course, a reference to Jason Todd's death, and that was in both versions.
Yep.
We get a lot of the same dialogue between the Turtles as in the first one. Again, the whole scene with Michelangelo riding on top of the T-Rex and Donatello just kind of melting over the computer. That's in there. And, yeah, a lot of it is, for changing as much as they did a really good job of keeping a lot of the lines the same. And I'm just going to say it. I love the fact that they compared New York to Gotham. And Michelangelo's like, oh, come on. It's practically the same, except they got giant blips. What the heck are those for?
Yeah, that was really funny.
You do not question the blips in Gotham.
Overall, I thought, if they sat down and like, okay, we're working with Nickelodeon. Our audience is going to trend younger. We have this book, which is not... it's not Kingdom Come or anything like that, but it's still a good book with some adult stuff going on. A few minor tweaks, and they basically, I think, stayed to the spirit of the book. I thought they did a really good job here. I want to say that that the folks who wrote the story, James Tynion and Freddie Williams, might have actually worked on the adaptation as well. It was directed by Jake Castorina, produced by Ben Jones, and it was written by Marley Halpern Grasser. So I'm wondering if they were just on, if they were at all part of the production. It seems like they would have been, because it's not like they went in a hugely different direction than what we got from the book.
Well, let's see here. The director also directed several episodes of Justice League Action, of Batman Unlimited, and Scooby-Doo and Batman, the Brave and the Bold, and has been an art director on pretty much every DC animated piece for the last couple of years. So this is clearly someone who knows what he's doing and knows the material very well. Great voice acting as well. We get Troy Baker as Batman and Joker. Love this guy. His Batman is probably one of the best, I think, in voiceover quality, second only to Kevin Conroy. And I do love his Joker. It's just a tinge darker than what Mark Hamill brings, and I really like. I believe he was also who took over Joker for the Batman Arkham games after Hamill decided he was going to retire the voice. So I think they all did a really good job.
All right, so I have a note here from the wiki. On May 14th, 2019, an adaptation of Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released, blah, blah, blah. The adaptation is based on the same events of the first volume, but the plot was rewritten after the writers redefined the Turtles as existing in the same universe as Batman. The plot, therefore, focuses on the two groups coming together to thwart the plans of Ra's al Ghul and Shredder to throw Gotham into chaos through the use of the mutagen combined with the Joker's Joker Venom. So there you go.
Well, chimps are also pretty good. There are future Batman Ninja Turtle books. I actually have my heart on getting the next volume as soon as my comic book shop opens back up. And I think chances are pretty good we're going to see more adaptations in the future. If nothing else, I would love to see the Ninja Turtles interact with more members of the Justice League. Can you imagine seeing Michelangelo with the Flash?
I was thinking the Turtles with the Captain Marvel family. Billy Batson and
Oh, that could be good. Oh, no. Donatello with Marvin the Martian.
All right. If you don't have anything else, then I think we can put this to bed. Overall, very, very good. Very, very enjoyable. No real complaints about it. It's just, not a whole lot else to discuss. This was not a heavily laden piece of film or fiction. Just a fun story that I thought was handled both well in the book and in the direct-to-video movie.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm going to have the scene of Michelangelo pressing all the buttons at the Batmobile stuck in my head for all time.
Oh, that was
let's face it, that is easily the funniest moment, because who hasn't wanted to jump in the Batmobile and press all the buttons?
Tomorrow night, we will be reviewing WrestleMania 36. Too big for just one night. You can't hear it, but I'm rolling my eyes in the back of my head right now.
Yeah, so was everyone on Facebook on Saturday night.
And then Wednesday, I'll be, in theory, reviewing the new In This Moment, Mother. You don't listen to any metal, do you?
I'm a white woman in her 30s in the Midwest. What do you think?
I don't know. Do you think people in the Midwest don't listen to metal?
No, Mark, I don't listen to metal.
Oh, okay. I just asking. I don't know. Trying to throw you more work here.
Let me put it this way. I actually used to work temp security for a local amphitheater here in Kansas City, and I got placed there during a metal festival. Among the performers there were Cannibal Corpse.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I went home and chased some ibuprofen with a strawberry margarita.
Okay, got it. Next week, speaking of animation, I got roped into doing seasons 1 and 2 of Agretsuko on Netflix by Sean Garmer and David Wright. So I guess we'll talk about that.
That was adorable, seeing David get all giddy on the chat window, like, can we review this pretty, please?
Sure.
It was so cute.
And we have the New Testament. And then Pat Mullen requested that we review The Big Show, which just debuted on Netflix today as of this recording. So plenty of things to review while we're all in quarantine. All right. As for Alexis, tell them where they can buy some stuff.
Honeysuckle Rose Creations, our online shops are still going strong. We have our stores on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. I'm trying to design some new merch to keep pushing, because unfortunately with the quarantine, we will not be appearing at any Comic-Cons till June at the absolute earliest. And all of the shops that we currently sell out, from what I've gathered, they are all temporarily shut down. So, but of course, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Under Duress Twitter. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. All
right, thank you for joining us on our inaugural comic strip show. We'll be doing this again probably next month, I believe. We will be doing a comic strip for I Am Not Okay With This, and I am trying to talk Alexis into doing one for, if not her, then Jesse Starcher, for one that was just announced, actually, on Netflix, The Last Days of American Crime, which was both a graphic novel and now a Netflix movie, I believe. So, we'll see.
I apologize. You sent me the notice. I think I forgot to get back to you about it. So, my apologies.
So, we got that. If you're looking for other stuff that Alexis is actually doing instead of things I'm just roping her into, she will be with me to discuss his Dark Materials on April 28th. As we dedicate an entire week. And she might be talking to me about the Golden Compass graphic novel. So The YA novels were actually adapted into a graphic novel that was split into 3 parts. You can also get the whole thing as one bound book. So I thought it'd be cool to take a look at that. I've never read the YA novel, but I think it would be fun to read the graphic novel and talk about it. So we might be able to do that. We might not. One never knows. So until then, be well, be safe, and behave.
Cowabunga!